Jim Schwartz, defensive coordinator, asked what his expectations are for Myles Garrett this season based on the big contract Myles signed.
I really think Myles is going to have the best season of his career, and has to, right? I mean, and I've told him before, what's that Spider-Man quote? With great power comes great responsibility, right? And that's with the big contract, with the notoriety that came along with that, and with the process that took to get him to that point. There also comes, there's always pressure in this league, but probably a little bit more so. And I think that brings out the best in players.
Spencer, I know you wrote an article about Jim Schwartz saying that with Myles. Take us through that and kind of your thoughts there.
Yeah, listen, I thought it was well said by Jim Schwartz, and what I think is interesting about this idea of Myles with the contract, and I guess the concept of the Spider-Man quote, right? Like, with great power comes great responsibility. I think people have kind of missed the mark on using that line when it applies to Myles. I think people have tried to say, well, hey, now that he's getting paid more, he needs to be more of a leader. And I think it's the opposite. I think it's what Jim Schwartz is alluding to more. I think it's more about, like, hey, he got paid the money because he's a really good player. He's a bona fide Hall of Famer, and he's expected to show up on Sundays. And so Jim Schwartz saying, listen, now that you got paid, we know you're great, but now you got to be even better. I think that's where we should be directing our attention when it comes to, like, what the contract should mean for Myles. It should be about, hey, can you take your game up a notch? Can you be the NFL sack king in a season? Can you maybe win another defensive player of the year? Are you, showing up even more in some of the tight moments of games where at times people have asked, like, where's Myles on that play, or where's Myles in this moment? Like, those are the types of things you're looking for. You can generally expect that Myles Garrett is going to give you his all, that he's going to put up big numbers. He is a tremendous generational player, and so I have no doubts he's going to be great again next year. But for him to sort of set that bar at, listen, you got all this money, you got paid, now you got to take it up a notch, I thought was interesting. And again, I think we've missed the mark a little bit on, like, the leadership thing isn't as important to me, because I get it. Like, people want the highest paid players, or assume the highest paid players are going to be the biggest leaders. But Myles has just never been that guy. I think to a point, Myles is always going to be a little bit of a leader because he's respected in that locker room because of the talent that he is. And when he speaks, others are just naturally going to listen. But he's never going to be like the rah-rah guy. I don't think he has to be the rah-rah guy. And so I think for me, what Jim Schwartz said was right on point. The idea that, like, the leadership part of it is one thing, and I don't necessarily think I don't put a ton of stock in that. But the idea that, like, okay, you got paid, now what? I think it applies more to just, like, what he does on the field. And we know he's going to be great, but can he turn his game up a notch? Jim Schwartz apparently thinks he can.